Enter your destination number now.
To Current Issues. I'm your host, Hesham Tillawi. Welcome to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting program tonight.
Of course, every night we're here is an interesting program. Imagine our planet far into the future, reduced to a reddish-brown husk, a mere
shell of its former self. Seems like the stuff of science fiction novels, but it's really of science today. We are at a unique moment in our history. Earth's midlife, a point at which science has given us the capability to examine the birth of our planet, as well as the forces that will bring about its eventual death. Scientists are finally beginning to understand the cycles that make Earth work and to write for the first time a biography of our planet, this revolution in thinking, which finds its voice in a book written by Professor Peter D. Ward and Donald Brownlee. The name of this book is The Life and Death of Planet Earth. We will be speaking with Professor Ward in the second hour about the future of our Earth. According to Professor Ward, Earth as we know it will exist no more. And therefore, is the human race ready for when that time comes? We will be speaking with Professor Ward about global warming, about areas in the ocean that is deprived of oxygen and therefore deprived of life, and it is growing. We will be speaking with Professor Ward about what can be done about it, and is there a future for the human race when Earth does cease to exist. We'll tackle that one. It will be an exciting hour in the second hour, ladies and gentlemen. In the first hour,
we will be speaking with Khalid Amayreh. He is, or was, the Al-Jazeera correspondent in the West Bank, Al-Jazeera Net. He has a lot of education about what is going on in the Middle East, politically, socially, and especially when it comes to the media. He has written a lot about it. Hundreds of articles he had wrote was published all over the world. And an interesting thing that we will find out today about what Al Jazeera is all about. Before we go to Khalid, I just wanted to mention that
Scooter Libby got 2.5 years for exposing a CIA agent. That's pretty good for someone who is accused of treason in other countries. He's lucky if he stays alive. But of course, in the United States, he gets a slap on the wrist, 2.5 years. Probably he will serve maybe 9 months and gets out on good behavior for a huge crime that he had committed and others, I might add, because Dick Cheney belongs right there with him in the same jail cell. And I might add, let's add George Bush with them too, because that's where they all belong. We have a bunch of criminals running the country, ladies and gentlemen, and 2.5 years for exposing a CIA agent, that is a matter of treason, but we don't see a lot of people talking about it. Just like we don't see a lot of people talking about the presidential directive that George Bush signed on May 9th to basically make himself the absolute ruler of the United States. He assigned and appointed himself the first American dictator, period. We talked about the presidential directive last time, but I just wanted to remind you that it still exists, and it's just a matter of time before they create another false flag operation, and that directive will become the rule of law, where George Bush will handle all aspects of federal government, from executive, legislation, and judicial. That is dictatorship, ladies and gentlemen. That is dictatorship. Okay. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, our special guest tonight is Khalid Amayreh, and we will be joined with him in a couple of seconds now, and we will be speaking with him about what's going on in the Middle East, how is the media handling that, and who's actually handling the media. And I believe we have Khalid with us. Khalid, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Khalid, I appreciate you staying up. I know it's 2:30 in the morning in Hebron, in Palestine, so we really appreciate you staying up, and we promise that we will make it as fast as we can here. Now, tell me, Khalid, you worked for Al-Jazeera. I'm not going to talk about Al-Jazeera mainly, but I'm really interested in knowing a little bit about Al-Jazeera, because, you know, a lot of people have different opinions about Al-Jazeera, but you really think that Al-Jazeera, especially Al-Jazeera Net and Al-Jazeera International, which is the Al-Jazeera in English, that there are some people up on top who should not be there. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yes, well, first of all, I would like to thank you for hosting me. You know, we cannot speak about Al Jazeera in terms of black and white, you know, I mean, obviously, but, and indeed, the Al Jazeera, the mother channel, this is the Al Jazeera Arabic, is very fine, and many people in the Arabic speaking.
Please enter your destination number now.
Okay, looks like we lost him. Let's go ahead and get him back.
And I understand the international lines going to Hebron's probably not the best. So let's go ahead and try to get him back. Are we using the landline? Are we calling him on the landline or the cell? Let's call him on the landline. I'm sure you are, unless we have a problem with the landline. And when we bring him back, we definitely will bring him back and find out more about Al Jazeera. And the reason we're using the landline, okay, that's fine. You know, the reason I wanted him to talk about this, because Al Jazeera had Al Jazeera Net, which is an extremely famous and very well visited website on the internet, and also Al Jazeera in English, that is broadcasting all over the world. Khalid thinks that there are some pro-Zionist elements way on top of both of these Al Jazeera, and the question is why and who put them there. So
we are just waiting to get him back on the line. Apparently we have, I mean, I'm glad there are phone lines working in Palestine. You know, Israel did not really leave much infrastructure there to speak about, so having a problem connecting to Hebron, probably not the anyhow, you guys let me know when we get him back. In the meantime, we're not trying to prove or say that Al Jazeera is not what it looks like, but, and he did say that Al Jazeera in Arabic is fine and he does not have a problem with it. Of course, how could it survive if it would be covering events any different from what the people in the Middle East or the Arab people want it to be covered? I believe we have Khalid back with us. Khalid, are you back with us?
Yes, I am.
It looks like the phone lines in Hebron leave a lot to be desired over there.
Well, many things here need to be fixed. You know, I mean, we cannot take things for granted here. You know, the situation is very difficult. You know, we have been under 18 months of very harsh blockade by the United States, Israel, and Western countries, and this.
Please enter your destination number now.
Oh boy. Okay. I tell you what. Let's call up, well, I don't know, maybe the cell phone might work better. When you get them online, yeah, just when you get them online, ask him if the cell phone would work better. That's sad. That's sad. Let me, while we're waiting for him, I'm going to read an article that he had written when he was forced out of Al Jazeera. He said, when the Qatar-based pan-Arab Al Jazeera satellite television announced 2 years ago plans to launch Al Jazeera International, many people around the world hoped the new satellite channel would provide a genuine alternative to the notoriously biased Western media, which often operate under a certain Zionist influence. The new channel, the launching of which has been postponed several times for a variety of reasons, will provide both regional and global perspective to potential audience of hundreds of millions of English speakers. Al Jazeera International is the world's first English language news channel to be headquartered in the Middle East, with news management rotating around broadcasting centers in Athens, Doha, Qatar, London, Washington, D.C., and Kuala Lumpur. Al Jazeera International has already attracted a number of luminaries in the world of TV broadcasting, including such people as Sir David Frost and Riz Khan. However, it seems that disappointment may be awaiting many of those who expect to see a world TV channel that is fair and objective, and especially free from the usual Anglo-American and Israeli worldview. Looks like we got him back. Let's try this again, Khalid. Tell me, what was the problem with Al Jazeera, Al Jazeera Net, and Al Jazeera International from your own perspective?
Well, Al Jazeera Net. Actually, you know, I was one of these people who started Al Jazeera Net English about 4 years ago. But eventually, they brought people from the BBC and CNN, and some of them were very much Israeli, and they did not like what what I was writing, mainly communicating the Palestinian viewpoint, communicating the reality from Palestine to the English-speaking audience around the world. They did not like it. Some of them actually had been receiving incitement messages against me by organized Jewish circles, and this eventually led to a decision to that because they did not like what I was writing. They wanted me to be neutral between the Palestinian victims and the Israeli occupiers. In such cases, when you have two sides, when you have a rape victim and a rapist, an oppressor, you cannot be neutral. You've got to be honest, and they did not like that. So this is the fact of the matter.
Okay. So, can you tell me, like, some of the things that they have? I know you wrote a lot of articles, and a lot of your articles was rejected by some of these people on top. Can you tell me, like, who are they? Name some names and tell me what did they tell you to change in your articles?
Well, it just happened all of a sudden, they were awaiting for a pretext for a long, long time. I mean, I had written more than 300 articles, including newspapers and analyses and reports and all kinds of pieces. And they had never warned me or asked me to turn down anything, But suddenly, they tell me that they had the right to ask people, to ask correspondents to write, and as long as they did not ask me to submit stories, I had no right to send stories to them, and this condition, this arrangement, so to speak, lasted for many months. And when I protested to the Al-Jazeera management, they told me very bluntly that they were in control and that no Qatari or Arab official at Al-Jazeera would be able to reinstate me.
Okay. Khalid, we're going to continue working on the sound. Did they get you on the landline or the cell phone?
Yeah, there is some noise, but nonetheless I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Now, I would like to get into the structure of Al Jazeera, because a lot of people now, when we talk about Qatar, and a lot of people, Khalid, are very, very confused. Qatar has Al Jazeera, which is supposedly the beacon of the media of the truth over there. But also at the same time, you look at Qatar, and Qatar has the largest American Air Force base in the world. So what is going on here? How could Al Jazeera be so objective and at the same time be in Qatar?
I think this is, as they say in America, this is the $63 million question. I agree with you fully. I mean, this is what it's all doing. Qatar hosts the largest American military base outside NATO countries, and the Qatari government has a very interesting relations with the United States. At the same time, the U.S. government at no point contemplated bombing the Al-Jazeera station. I'm talking about Al-Jazeera Arabic channel, Al-Jazeera, and this is the fine channel. But nonetheless, the United States wanted Al-Jazeera to be, not to be non-conformist, to go with the flow, to be in tune with the CNN and with Fox News and ABC and CBS and the rest of the Zionist influence, Zionist controlled media in the United States and in the West. And obviously, they tried, all kinds of intimidation with the Arabic channel, but fortunately, those people in the Arabic channels have been able to maintain a great modicum of independence, and they resisted pressure. But those people at the Al-Jazeera English, most of those people have come from the BBC and from CNN, and many of them hold views, the views that are decidedly pro-Israeli, hence the problem. And I understand that during the last few weeks, the entire board of Al-Jazeera has been changed, and the Doc Center, the former manager of Al-Jazeera, has been replaced by the former ambassador of Qatar to the United States. So the Americans, the United States government, and the pro-Israeli circles hope that Al-Jazeera English from now on would be, more in tune with the Israeli-American worldview.
Okay. Who's Vince Ryan?
Well, Mr. Ryan is a former BBC correspondent. He's not actually a professional journalist. He's a specialist in media coordination.
Now he's a senior editor there at Al Jazeera, right?
Yes, indeed. I mean, he was the main provocateur. He was the one who decided to fire me. And I understand from people at Al Jazeera, I cannot mention their names, that he had been in contact with some pro-Israeli groups such as honest reporting, looking for Israeli media body both in the United Kingdom, and this gentleman had been in contact with them, and they repeatedly asked him to fire me or to at least isolate me, and this is what he eventually did.
So how did somebody like Vince Ryan, who's a pro-Israeli, surface to be on the top within the Al Jazeera organization? And also, not just Vince Ryan, but also Merriman, and they actually forced you to change some of your articles. How do you think these people became top editors and top managers in Al Jazeera?
Well, he's not the only one, You have David Frost, for example. David Frost is decidedly pro-Israeli. He very often hosts people like Benjamin Netanyahu and Hesham Tillawi, and he allows them to make all kinds of disinformation and lies about the Palestinians, and he wouldn't challenge them at all, and he wouldn't face other Palestinians who would refute, this propaganda on the part of Israeli. I'm not talking about, one instance or two instances. This happens almost on a daily basis these days, and unfortunately, the Palestinians, but people from the West Bank and from the Gaza Strip would refute, who counterbalance this. And indeed, I myself have spoken to and listened to Al-Jazeera officials, but to no avail. It seems to me that there is this powerful Israeli Zionist body within Al-Jazeera English, and it is becoming just another BBC. BBC with Arab money, financed by Arab money. And this is very unacceptable, and I think it would eventually undermine the credibility of the Al-Jazeera English language channel.
Okay, now you're saying with all of this, this build-up had two main expressions. One of them is neutralizing Palestinian correspondents from Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories, and they are relying more and more on American news agencies, like Fox, for instance. Is that true?
That's true. Most of the correspondents, Al-Jazeera correspondents in the occupied Palestinian territory, are actually either Jewish or Western people. Palestinian correspondents are employed only to report on anti-Palestinian affairs, but when it comes to Israel, when it comes to the Israeli occupation and the ethnic cleansing and the daily acts of murder and theft and lie and settlement building and the construction of this gigantic apartheid rule, it is not to Jewish and Western correspondents. Palestinians are not allowed, Palestinian correspondents are not allowed to report widely on what Israel is doing to the Palestinians. And they do it because they have a feeling that Palestinians are not capable of behaving fairly and neutrally vis-a-vis Israel. Of course, this is nonsense, and it's inappropriate to employ Israeli Jewish journalists covering Israeli affairs and talking about Palestinian terror, quote, end of quote. But when a Palestinian reporter tries to communicate what the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians, and this is nothing short of an act of rape, actually, because the occupation is an act of rape in the final analysis. Al Jazeera becomes very reluctant, and eventually the Palestinian reporter is laid out, is just, removed from the job or transferred to a managerial job or something like that. I think Al Jazeera English had much to clean, and I think right now we cannot give it the benefit of the doubt, and I'm very sure that it is losing many viewers, not only in the West, but here also in the Arab world.
So, Khalid, if Al Jazeera Net and Al Jazeera in English have this type of coverage, which they will not be able to get away with it on the Arabic channel, then that explains what Al Jazeera, even Al Jazeera in Arabic, is all about, because even though 99% of its coverage might be in such a way where the Arab audience would like it, and at the same time they have that 1% that is, in my opinion, 1% that is very cleverly designed to basically penetrate the Arab mind, to neutralize it when it comes to Israel. Do you see it that way on the Arab channel?
Well, there is a very conspicuous dichotomy, paradox, between the performance of the mother organization, the Arabic channel, on the one hand and the English Channel on the other hand. The Arabic Channel is manned by independent-minded journalists who understand the situation in the Arab world, and they realize, and I think the management also realizes that if those people do not act the way they do, Al-Jazeera will lose much in the Arab world. But of course, as to the English channel, their audience is different, and that's why they try to adapt and to give the English-speaking audience the same kind of coverage that they would receive by the BBC and by CNN and Fox News. In the final analysis, one would get the impression that we really do not need Al Jazeera English. It's just another BBC, another CNN, another Fox News. And of course, there are some cosmetic aspects, like, reporting on some Arab or Islamic communities in the West.
Okay. Now, Khalid, how would you explain, because Waddah Khamfar, he's the general manager of the whole organization, correct?
He used to be, but right now he has been removed, and the former ambassador, the former Qatari ambassador to the United States has been appointed as the big boss, at the
Okay, so the Qatari ambassador is appointed as the general manager now?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, now what happened with Waddah Khamfar?
I think he has been demoted to a managerial position. I don't...
Does that have anything to do with his resistance to all these people from the BBC wanting to do it one way? Because I understand that Vince Ryan did not really like how the Arabic channel was run, and to add to that, these people with the BBC, they wanted you to be objective, where you are fair to both sides, but when they were with the BBC and CNN, they were not fair to both sides. They were taking the Israeli side over the Palestinians, but now when they are in an Arabic channel, they want to be objective. What do you read into this bias?
I think you're right. They are quite dissatisfied with the performance of the Arabic channel, and they blame the Arabic channel for public opinion events in the Arab world, which are against the Israeli occupation and against the Bush administration. But of course, we cannot, we cannot attribute the state of affairs and the Arab public opinion. We cannot attribute that to the Al Jazeera coverage. American and Israeli policies, and especially their practices, their criminal practices in the Arab world and elsewhere, are the main reason for hating America. In this part of the world, of course, they do not hate America, the people. They hate the American government, not the American people or the American culture or anything like that, But, American policies and practices in Iraq, in Palestine, in Somalia, in Lebanon, these divisive policies, the outrageous American intervention in Palestine, the American efforts led by Elliot Abrams, who has been trying to ignite civil war within the Palestinian community in order to help and serve Israeli goals. These are some of the reasons why people in the Arab world hate the American government. It's not because of Al Jazeera coverage.
Okay. Now, the editors with Al Jazeera Net, they actually told you not to write the word shaheed or martyr, and also not to refer to Israel as an occupying army?
to understand, and I never wrote Shaheed, I wrote it, within a quotation, and they did not like that, I mean, as reporters, we have to be honest, and we have to communicate what our sources say without changing anything, but they did not like that, the word master or Shaheed happened to be within a quote, I quoted a government official saying that, nonetheless they said that was outrageous and that was inconsistent with journalist profession, all kinds of excuses. The same thing, they wanted me to be neutral between the occupied and the occupiers, between Israel and the Palestinians, between Israeli sisters who murder Palestinians and so try to evict and expel Palestinians from their homes and from their lands, and who practice vandalism, excessive wanton vandalism against Palestinians. They wanted me to frequently place them with ordinary Palestinians. So they wanted me to be neutral between the criminals and the victims. And when I refused to do so, to heed their impossible instructions, they told me to, they told me that I was fired.
Okay. Now, to switch gears a little bit, you wrote an article lately about the Nobel Peace Prize, and you had a problem with some of these recipients, especially Yisrael Robert Aumann. What is the problem you have with him?
Well, this man is associated with the Jewish settlement movement in the occupied territories, which is based on Jewish Messianism. They believe that non-Jews are, intra-human beings, subhuman beings, kind of children of a lesser God, and they enthusiastically support all kinds of oppression against the Palestinians, including kicking them out of their homes. And yet this man was granted the Peace Prize. I mean, this is very outrageous. And people without moral qualifications should not be qualified for receiving the Nobel Prize. But I'm not speaking about just one individual. There are many, many individuals who got the Nobel Prize, but if you examine meticulously their moral and ethical credentials, you will undoubtedly find out that they do not deserve such a prize.
Okay. Khalid, stay with me. We're going to go to the phones, and let's go with Freedom on line one. Go with Freedom.
Yes, Dr. Tillawi, I would like to ask Mr. Khalid a serious question about journalism. Okay?
Okay.
And maybe if he can't hear me, you may be able to relate it to him.
Okay.
Mr. Amayreh, I know that Al-Jazeera have a website where they broadcast 24 hours a day, Al-Jazeera America, on the website. They are not on any of our cable system locally, so we can't really see what Al-Jazeera America is doing. But since 9/11 has caused so many independent investigative reporters to go out there and try to find out the truth, why isn't Al Jazeera as a network sending out investigative reporters to investigate all the claims of 9/11 and see if they're true or not, and then reveal the truth to the American people? Why doesn't Al Jazeera act like the network is supposed to be, rather than act like one of our major media who try to avoid 9/11 altogether? If in fact the Arabs did not do 9/11, we're trying to find out now who did 9/11. So why wouldn't Al Jazeera send investigative reporters out to tell us the truth at last? Maybe even use Dr. Tillawi as one of their correspondents. So why don't Al Jazeera really tackle this problem? Because they could do a real favor for the American people. And thanks very much.
Did you hear him, Khalid?
Yes, I can. I hear you.
Okay. Did you hear the question he asked you?
No.
Did you hear the question he asked you?
No. Can you repeat, please?
Okay. He asked you why doesn't Al Jazeera or wouldn't Al Jazeera send some reporters to investigate the events on 9/11 to explain the truth to the American people. Now, to add to what he had asked you, I know Al Jazeera in Arabic had showed some documentaries that would touch a little bit on what happened on 9/11. So why Al Jazeera in English would not go and do an investigative reporting on exactly what happened? Because after all, the Arabs are accused of doing 9/11. So why Al Jazeera is not tackling that problem?
Well, I really don't know, but I think it would be a mistake to expect Al Jazeera to be completely free. There are red lines. Maybe there are tacit or undeclared understandings between Al Jazeera and the United States government, the Bush administration. That's why there are taboos and other subjects that Al Jazeera would not just touch, you know. This is a real problem. I mean, we do not have real press freedom when it comes to exposing some specific American policies, and of course when it comes to Zionism, they do not speak really sufficiently about the ethnic cleansing that is going on in Palestine, and they rarely mention the fact that Israel is an apartheid state, a full-fledged apartheid state, which practices all kinds of racist discrimination against non-Jews. And they refrain from making all kinds of analogies, legitimate analogies between the Third Reich and the Israeli state. This is the red line for them. But in my opinion, and in the opinion of many peace-minded Israelis and Palestinians, there is a strong analogy, strong similarity between the situation in Germany in the mid-30s and the situation in Palestine today. And unfortunately, Al Jazeera switches from calling the state a state, especially when it comes to Israel and the Bush administration. And this is very, very worrying indeed, you know. It just creates...
Khalid, at one time, about a year or 2 years ago, there was some news came out that Clear Channel, which is a pro-Israeli media network right here in the United States, had purchased 50% of Al Jazeera stock. Do you know anything about that story?
Yes, I'm aware of these reports. I saw them, and as far as I know, the Al Jazeera management did not respond to questions in this regard. They did not deny that these reports were. I mean, they neither confirmed nor denied these reports. And, but national Jewish or Israeli media giants have been trying to take over Al Jazeera. It's a takeover effort was done secretly. I have no way to confirm or deny that. I don't know.
Now, can you? Well, maybe this is a good topic for you to investigate, Khalid, to see exactly who owns Al Jazeera, because you know I'm kind of curious. I watch Al Jazeera all the time, and I'm wondering where do they get these billions of dollars, because there's hardly any advertisement on Al Jazeera to pay for the expenses. I mean, they have offices and correspondents all over the world, and they have an operation equal to or probably exceeds what CNN has. I mean, that requires billions of dollars, and who's paying for that?
Well, the Emir of Qatar is paying for that. Qatar is an oil-rich country, and almost the entire budget of Al Jazeera comes from the Qatari government. And the Qatari government is the family of the Emir. So this is the answer for your question. But I agree with you that there are all kinds of catch-22 questions here, and I am worried specifically about Al Jazeera English. Al Jazeera, people working in Al Jazeera Arabic channel I understand that, have actually threatened to resign in that in case a pro-Israeli or foreign body takes over the station. So this is probably why Al Jazeera Arabic continues with the independent line that is very much the cause and the main reason behind its success in the Arab world. But the English channel is just a huge deviation, and as I said before, it is CBS and CNN and the Fox News and even the Jerusalem Post, but financed by Arab money. And this is scandalous, to say the least.
Okay. Tell me, with the few minutes that we have left, today is the 40th anniversary of we call it the Naksa, which is what came after the Nakba. Tell me, 40 years after the Israelis have taken over the West Bank, how are things? How did the Palestinians actually receive this day that 4 decades later they're still refugees and they're still living in refugee camps and being killed every day by the Israelis? Tell me, just take the next few minutes and tell me about 40 years after.
Well, today marks the passage of 40 years of murder, of lies and theft. Israel is the murderer and the thief and the liar. And the Palestinians have marked this day by carrying out activities in the streets, marches, and calling on the international community to pay more attention to this scandal of the 20th century, the 21st century as well, because really the Israeli occupation of Palestine is an act of rape that has been going on for decades. And while the world community has mobilized armies and invaded countries and destroyed countries and enlisted resolved, and really the international community, especially the United States, is guilty of keeping the Israeli occupation intact all these years. But of course the Palestinians have no choice but to be resilient and to be patient and to be steadfast, because, you know, this is our survival, this is our country, and we are not going to leave our country. The two-state solution has been irreversibly failed thanks to the intensive proliferation of Jewish army settlements, colonies in the West Bank. So right now, the only remaining viable and possible tactic is the creation of a unitary, democratic, civil state, one state in Palestine, democratic state, where Jews and Arabs live together in one country, inequality. Of course, this is anathema for the Israelis because they want to have a purely Jewish state. They want to have a state with as many Jews as possible and with as few non-Jews as possible. But of course this is impossible because after 60 years of Jewish hatred and after 115 years of Jewish settlement in Palestine, there are as many Palestinians as there are Jews in Palestine. And in fact the Palestinians may already be more than there are Jews. So Israel wants to coerce the Palestinian people to accept apartheid, and this is what they are. Yes.
Khalid, just because we have a couple of minutes left, the United Nations Security Council has voted to have an international court of inquiry on the assassination of Al-Hariri, the former Prime Minister of Lebanon. That's one person, one leader that was assassinated, but we have many Palestinian leaders that were assassinated by Israel. We know who the culprit is. We don't need a court to tell us who killed those people. We have the Israelis assassinating people all over the world, and we have the United States assassinated a whole country and destroyed it, but we can't get, you mentioned the international community. Who the hell is the international community? Because the international community is not being even-handed with people. We have only 2 minutes left. Very quick, what do you think about that?
Well, I think your remarks are very accurate. The United Nations, following the collapse of the former Soviet Union, just became a puppet, in the hands, an instrument in the hands of the United States State Department, and that is the problem. They just use the United Nations as an instrument to further and to serve the completely criminal goals of the United States government. You are right about that. I agree with you 100%.
Okay. Khalid, I only have time to say thank you very much for staying up late. It has been a pleasure having you on the show, as we are completely out of time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we only have like 1 minute left. Don't go too far because the next hour is going to be exciting. We're going to be speaking, it's not politics, even though it is. I mean, you can look at it as a political issue, global warming after all. But we will speak about mainly where this earth is going, what will be the end of it, and when. Is it going to be soon? Shall we start packing to go up in space, or maybe rapturing? You never know. Probably that's where these people have the idea of rapturing. Don't see the credits on the screen, and it's supposed, here we go. We got it. Now we take it off, and we will see you, ladies and gentlemen, in about 4 minutes with Professor Peter Ward. Don't miss the next hour. See you then.